they did. That's the difference between the two wars, what happened to the prisoners.
When you're talking about that creek, did you say that was before the war that they were
Yeah.
beheading people who were taken right?
Oh yeah, now, before the war, we did guard duty there, see?
So you were on one side and the Japanese were on the other?
Yeah, and the Siuxia Creek divided it. And then in Shanghai, in the city of Shanghai there were Italian Marines, French Marines, British Marines. There was another one that had a section of this, and ours was known as the American section. Thank goodness, in the American section is where the UV brewery for the whole Far East there was brewed, a great big place. And when I had a Marine Corps driver's license I got before I went overseas to China. And then when we got there, I drove them. We had 1930 Model A pickups.
Model A?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had a canvas canopy and two wooden benches that they sat on. And I would drive, I was one of the drivers, the sentries they call it, where you take some guard, and a Marine that's going to stand guard 4 hours on and 8 hours off, you used to do. And they keep rotating them, see. Every 4 hours, you rotate around to post the sentries, and that's what I used to do, so I didn't have to stand guard. And the buildings, like in the quartermaster building, that was Americans, in the American sector, it was a big place, because that was for all the Orient and all that, or the supply department. They called it the quartermaster there. And several stories high, and I forget how big, but it was big anyhow. We had guards on all four corners of the building, 24 hours a day, to keep them from robbing or, you know, things like that, keep them out, the Japanese. Yeah.
And so tell me again, you said in camp you only had 2 meals a day. And in camp, at prison camp, you only had 2 meals a day.
Oh, yeah.
And it was rice, both meals?
During the war, on the American side, we only had 2 meals a day. When we come from Shanghai and went to Bataan in the Philippines, and burned us up, is here they had us on 2 meals a day, and when the Americans surrendered the Philippines as a whole, they had us on work parties, and we'd go into it's called the Melinda Tunnel. It was a big one. That's where General MacArthur had his headquarters and everything too. And these trains would go in there, boxcars, and it was all tile, the whole thing, from the ground and clear around the roof. And I remember that, kind of a light green light. It was, and that's where the Americans had their supply department, and MacArthur had his office and all that, and for protection against bombing, see, or shelling, because you're pretty safe in there. But I started to say, they had us go in there, the Japs, and carry out these boxes, something like that one, and we carried them to the docks and loaded them on the ship, and the Jap took all that food to Japan, where we could have been eating it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we had starvation diet during the war.
when you were talking about when you were in the mines, you were the driller when you drilled the 5 holes. I couldn't understand. You said that people would give you gold. Would they give it to you in the mines to trade for cigarettes for them? Or in camp, would they give you their gold watches and rings to trade with the Chinese and the Korean civilians for cigarettes? You'd smuggle the gold, and then because you spoke Japanese, you taught yourself Japanese because you stole that book?
Oh, yeah. I used to. The Koreans and Chinese used to work in the mines too, and they lived in town, but they spoke Japanese, so we bartered in Japanese. We did all the time.
So your buddies would give you like a gold ring to trade for a bunch of cigarettes, And you'd risk your life, because if you got caught, they'd cut your head off for that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. I risked my life so many times. I didn't care. I mean, a bunch of us were kind of happy-go-lucky, you know.
Dad, tell me about the day that you guys found out that you'd won, that the war was over. You were in town?
Oh, us?
Yeah.
Oh, when the war was over?
Yeah.
Well, for 2 days, they didn't take us to the mines to go to work. And we already knew, we heard that Germany had surrendered, and we figured just a matter of time till that the Japanese have to surrender. And so, after the second day, believe it or not, Japan, they ran out of rice, and they started feeding us, and we would carry them from the town to 5 miles across the back of our shoulders, bags of soybeans. And that was better than the rice because it had a few vitamins in the soybeans.
Some nutrition, yeah.
Yeah, you got the runs and all that, but that helped keep us alive and all that when they ran out of rice there.
So how did you find out the war was over?
Oh, when they after 2 days, the camp was no food at all. And so I volunteered. I always volunteered for different things because I knew how to talk Japanese, and I learned a lot and bring it back to our commanding officer, see, and to let him know what was going on. And when I was in the mines, the Koreans and Manchurians, they would say sensual warning. As sensual as war, a war is finished. See? The war is over, in other words. And they used to tell us sensual warning. So, when we got that, I talked to some of the guards and told them that we wanted a meeting with the Ishikawa-san. That was, I'll never forget that name. He was a bull of the woods, a big old fat curled Jap. He was the CO of the whole camp, see?
Yeah.
And I told them to tell him, the guards, tell them some of us would like to have a meeting with them. And sure enough, they okayed it. So we had a meeting, and we told them, now look at it, the Yanks and tanks are going to be coming, and we're not going to be responsible for what the Americans do to you guys, you know. We're trying to put the fear of God into them. And so they had a meeting, and I told them, I said, now, what we want is all your guards to assemble with all their weapons and become our prisoners. And then inside the camp, believe it or not, they had 3 by 3 cells that used to lock us up in if you got into trouble and did something wrong or something. They'd lock you up for a day or 2 days without any food, see, in these 3 by 3. So they agreed, turned over all their rifles and pistols and everything to ours, and I told everybody, I said, now look at, if you take one of those rifles or pistols, you're going to have to stand guard until the Yanks and tanks get here. They agreed upon that they were stand guard, see?
The Americans.
Huh?
The prisoners.
The
Your fellow prisoners.
Oh, yeah, the Americans. So, everybody that got a weapon, I didn't get one, I didn't run no part of it. Why? Then we locked them up in these cells. And after 2 days, then a plane, we saw a plane circling around, and we figured he's looking for us someplace. They knew that we was there, someplace in the mines or whatever it was up there. And at first they circled all around, kept circling around, you know, and never did see us. Because we had 2-story barracks and had like a gable roof. So, a bunch of us got to talking about it, what can we do, you know? So we decided to break into the warehouse that was there. We found white paint and paintbrushes, big paintbrushes like this, and we got some volunteers, and they went up on the roof and painted on both sides, big POWs. The next day, here's that plane, and it's still looking for us. And then finally it spotted us, and he dove down and he dipped his wings, and we could see it was American. It had the star under the left wing. And he dropped us a note, and he said to them, watch tomorrow, there'll be B-17 will be flying by and dropping 50-gallon drums of food to you guys in small colored parachutes. So the next day, here they come, and you could see the airmen there. They were tied so they wouldn't get sucked out. They tied, and they opened up the bomb vase, and they were pushing these 50-gallon drums out, and then their parachutes were open. And they all landed in the camp, except one landed outside the Japs before we could get out there and get it. They got it and carted off with one 50-gallon drum. But we had all kinds of American food, and boy, talk about getting diarrhea and all that. Not used to the American food. Oh God, that was really something. But we sat around, and we went in the town, and we rented a liquor store there and got the sake. They didn't have bourbon there; they had sake, and we did hire a kite, and then the diarrhea from the food, American food, and all that. And after 2 days of drinking and partying it up, and guys that had the rifle had to stand guard and all that. See, the ones that had the weapons. And after 2 days, we got to talking again.
How many of you were there?
Huh?
How many were left? How many prisoners were there?
Oh, God.
About?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, was it more than 100?
Oh, yeah. There's about 300 or 400 to start with in our camp. But after 2 days, we figured, hell's bells, let's go into town, because when we went in there and got the soybeans, saw train parks there, you know, and some cars. So we start hunting around town, talking here and talking there, and I helped talk and all that, and we found somebody that knew somebody, and they were an engineer. And then some guys that were like mechanics that serviced it and fueled it and things like that. So we put that all together, and we were the furthest prison camp away from Yokohama. That was the headquarters. That's where that treaty was signed that I got there, a copy of the treaty. That's where General MacArthur and all the big shots, admirals and all that, in different countries and everything. And so we all boarded this train when they got it all, I say gassed up, but with the fuel and all that and everything. And being the furthest away, we were the first ones back into the American hands by the docks in Yokohama. And that's where their headquarters were, right there. And they had ships right there and everything, and we boarded that. And they didn't have any Marine Corps outfits or nothing, so they gave us Navy dungarees. We used Navy dungarees, and we wore those till we got back to the United States and got to the Oakland Old Naval Hospital where they took us, and they gave us some Marine uniforms in.
How long did the boat take?
Huh?
How long did the boat ride take?
Well, it stopped at all the small islands, Midway, Guam, and all of them, you know, and any place where they had prisoners and all that, why, they boarded the ship.
So the war was over when? When was D-Day? In June?
Oh, I don't know what day.
Not D-Day, but at the end of it. It was in June sometime, wasn't it?
Huh?
The war ended in June, didn't
Yes.
it? And when did you get home?
20th, 22nd, I don't know, something like that.
When did you get home? Actually get back to the States?
Oh, no, they kept us, what they did, they gave us, like me, Marine Corps office, gave us each $500 in cash, and said, okay, go on.
Yeah, but
How
long until you got back to the United States after the war ended? How many months?
Well, we stayed for quite a while in Guam. They had a great big hospital, Navy hospital and all that there. And they checked us all out and then different medicines and one thing and another and all that kind of stuff. But that's what happened there. And that was quite a while, maybe a month, 6 weeks, something like that. We stayed there in Guam at that naval big hospital to make sure that we didn't contaminate the citizens back in the United States with some germ that they didn't know about when we were prisoners.
Right.
So they took all the precautions they could.
Leo, when you guys left the camp, did you release the guards out of the 3x3 prison cells? When you left the Japanese prison camp?
We did something with it, and I can't remember what the heck it was now. No.
Tell me again about making the bombs. What'd you guys do to make the
When
bombs?
you were doing the drilling and you shorted the number, how many sticks of dynamite were you supposed to put in the hole?
Oh, we put in 10, we'd only put 8 in, and we were short-changed it 2. And it was still blast a lot, but they didn't know the difference.
And so you kept 2 sticks of dynamite in the caps and the fuses, and different guys would smuggle that out under their clothes?
Yeah, we smuggled it into camp, and then at nighttime, somebody would stand guard in each end of the barracks, because the words we used was air raid. When a Jap guard was coming, we'd holler air raid, and they never did catch on that we were warning one another. So we used to holler air raid.
And what would you do with the dynamite?
Huh?
What would you do with those sticks of dynamite?
On the panel on the wall, just like where I had that watch I gave you. That's where I put that and all that. They never did find it.
And that's where you put that Japanese to English book you stole, right? That's how you taught yourself Japanese? You stole a book from the library or something?
And when we were in Mukden, Manchuria, before they took us to Jap, so I volunteered. I used to always volunteer to work. I couldn't see this laying around, thinking about things and all that. So I always volunteered to do work as long as I was healthy and all that. And see, there I go again.
In Manchuria, you stole a Japanese English dictionary or something, or how'd you?
Oh, on their work party, I volunteered, and we went in this great big office they had, and did dusting and sweeping and mopping and all that kind of stuff to clean the office. And I was dusting the counters were about that wide, and God, they were clear around the building just about. And I was working, and I looked over, and I saw something that looked like a book. So I worked my way over there, and then when the Jap guards weren't looking, I slid it over and I read it. On the cover, it had what's the word I want to use?
Kanji.
From Japanese to American.
Translation?
So I took it and put it in my shirt, took it back into camp, and I slept right next to a wall, and I took a section of it out, and just and then kept the book in there. That's where we kept a lot of the dynamite and bombs and all that, and pushed nails in, so it looked, well, we kind of had tools, not working in the mines, where they had repair shops and stuff like that. Somebody would be near there to get what we needed, like the cutters to cut the nails, so they'd just barely hold the panel up, see? And you could pull it out every time you want and put it back when you want.
Now this is in the lead mine, so you must have taken the dictionary from the Manchuria, the first stop.
Oh, yeah.
They took you to the lead mine, took the dictionary with
No,
you.
I just kept it inside my shirt, in my belt line, with my belt tight so it hold it in place.
And if they caught you, they would have cut your head off for that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Weren't you saying some people that stole dynamite from the mine, you'd pass it around to different prisoners, and somebody get caught and they'd behead them right
Never
there?
did. Never did be caught. We were real fortunate about that.
Sometimes did they get caught for doing the sabotage? When you'd sabotage the trucks?
Like the trains in the mine or something? Or
we
Destroy?
Cripple the things up.
Disable.
Huh?
Disable.
Yeah, disable them, yeah. We used to do a lot of that. They never could catch us, though. They're kind of stupid in the way, those Japs. Especially the guards were, you know. Some of the officers were pretty sharp. That you could speak good English and all that and everything, yeah.
Was Aka in the same prison camp with you?
He was all the way through. They kept the Air Force with the Marines because there wasn't that many Air Force, there wasn't that many Marines compared to the Army, see?
Was he in Shanghai with you too?
Yeah. No. How can I ask him? I guess he was in the Philippines or Guam or someplace. I'm gonna have to ask him where in the heck he was till we met up in one of the camps.
Do you remember the name of the city that your camp was in? What area was your camp in? Do you know?
Oh, much in Manchuria.
That's where your main camp, your lead camp was?
Yeah, that was it. And at first, we used to hike 5 miles. Some big old beat up barracks there was a woman's school and dormitories. A lot of buildings and the houses and that. And we hiked 5 miles each way, morning and night. And they built special barracks right outside the factory. And then we had it made then. There's no more of that hiking allowed.
And what about the prisoners that didn't want to work? What did they ask you to do? The prisoners that didn't want to do any work.
Oh, they'd whip them, beat them up and all that. Oh, yeah.
But didn't they ask you to do something? The prisoners, when they didn't want to work, they'd ask you to do something.
Well, we tried to get them to work. Most of them did. No, they didn't refuse to work.
But didn't they ask?
But a lot of them used to come to me with a drill and break my arm or break my leg or something, so they didn't have to go to work in the lead mines. And I used to tell them, hell, I'll just knock you over the head before I break your arm. That's when I come around and tell them. Yeah. We were taught a lot of that kind of stuff in the Marines before they released us to go to duty, and we volunteered, went to Shanghai. China is what we did, see. All the Marines wanted to go to Shanghai because it was known as a serviceman's paradise. Wine, women, and song. That's what it was.
Until war breaks out.
Huh?
Until war breaks out.
And there were a lot of white Russians there in Shanghai. Oh, boy. Few red Russians. And they hated one another. The white Russians and the red. They were known the red, the communist ones and all that. They didn't get along.
Tell me about being captured. What the day you guys got captured?
When I got captured? See if I can remember.
Well, you escaped Bataan, right?
Huh?
You got out of Bataan.
Oh yeah, we were there in Bataan fighting. We were the first one into the front lines. Yeah, we were there. See, we were already there, close to it. See, and they trucked in. I don't know where they got them from. The steel helmets and live ammunition, because they weren't prepared for war, and we never had any ammunition except when you was on guard duty. Then you had belts, bullet belts, and the shells and you wore them. Then you'd check them in and out from the guardhouse is where you did that. So you didn't carry it in town or something like that, or go rob somebody or something like that. They kept us there. They were real strict about that. But it paid off.
Well, how'd you get out of Bataan before they captured the Marines of Bataan? Did your unit deploy?
Well, when we got to the wind that we're going to surrender and all that, and we said, bull, we're not going to do it. So a bunch of us Marines got together and we zigzagged, and the Jap must have known, they knew we escaped, but they didn't know where. So they were looking for us with planes, and we'd go under trees and stuff like that. And one time, I even drove a motorcycle with a sidecar. You ever remember those?
Yeah.
Where they had the sidecars, and I carried a .45 pistol, and drove one of these motorcycles, and my buck private there, he beat it with a Thompson submachine gun. And we'd patrol these back roads and all that and everything, you know. And one time, somebody started shooting at us, you know. And I'd watch the road around, and they would look up, the guard would look up at the sky and all the trees and all that kind of stuff. And we went and it was one time to turn around and come back to where we were started and all that, where they changed guards and one thing and another. And they started shooting at us again from the same place. So we looked some more. By God, up there in the tree, there was a dead Jap laying on the tree, and then there was a live Jap on top of him shooting us. Shooting us. So we just opened up and we riddled him to the hell out of him. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. We were for. Oh, I did get my. I still got a little scar. You don't see it, but like a bullet hole in one of my. This blade here it was right in here, someplace. Is where I got hit, but.
You got hit by the guy in the tree?
I think it was. If I remember right. Yeah, because we were just looking to see who was shooting at us and where it was coming from. So we looked up and around. There it was, the dead one and the live one laying on top of him. Yeah.
And then, so when did you guys get captured? When did you get captured then?
Oh, they passed the word that the Americans were surrendering the Philippines, and then the Japs took over everything, see, and there was no way we could resist and go any place or anything, because the Japs they had troops galore. I often wondered where all these troops were, and all these airplanes that bombed. Where were they? How come the U.S. didn't know about it, those troops or something, you know? We never could figure that one out. Why we was caught with our pants down. But that's what happened. That's what we used to say all the time. They got caught with our pants down. You know?
Yeah, because Marine Corps doesn't normally surrender.
So the Philippines, is that where most of the prisoners came from? Because you were all on the Philippines? A lot of the prisoners came from there? A lot of the Japanese prisoners of war were on the Philippines? Were in the Philippines?
They surrendered to us? No, they wouldn't surrender.
No. A lot of the prisoners, the American prisoners,
yeah.
Did they come from, they were all in the Philippines? Is that where a lot of them came from?
Most all of them. Pretty near all of them. Yeah, from Guam, Midway, and all these other islands. It took us 35 days from San Francisco to Shanghai, because they had the Shelmont and the Henderson, two Navy transports, real old ones. They were wooden decks, and the Shelmont that we were on spelled out, "Christ help all us Marines who sail on Navy transport." That's how we spelled that thing out on the Shelmont there. But I think it was about 8 knots is all they could go, scout speed. And top of that, every island that we stopped at, some Marines would go ashore to stay there, and some that had been there for 2 years, they came back on ship. And that's the reason it took us so long to even just get to Shanghai, 35 days.
Oh, so when you first went, before the war?
Oh, yeah, that was when we went there, yeah. And it was real slow. Of course, the ship was slow, too. It was real old, wooden decks. And every day I could see the sailors' steps today, what they call holy stoning. They looked like bricks, but they weren't. There was something else, stone or something. Oh, about the size of a brick, and they had a hole there and a stick. And you could see them wiggling their butts, going down every day. They were working to smooth the decks, you know, and then they'd start over again, is what was happening.
How long were you in Shanghai before war broke out? And you got sent to the Philippines?
Oh, for 2 years. getting pretty close to time to come back home.
So 2 years, and then you were a prisoner for 3.5, so you didn't see your family for almost 6 years, huh?
Yeah, 3.5.
So you didn't see your... Did Al see any action?
Oh yeah, he had one of the boats. I don't know if you ever watched any of those nights that a landing crash that the guys used to drive up to the ship, and they get a bunch of soldiers and their rifles and all that, and they get in these boats and they bring them down there all the way to the shore, and then turn around and go back and get some more. Kept doing that, and he had one shot out from under him, and he got wounded someplace. I don't remember now, but he survived whatever it was, and he went right back in the Navy and stayed in the Navy there because he still had time to do, and went back to driving the boats again. The landing crash.
So he was in the Navy, and George was in the Army, and you were in the Marines.
And then I talked my kid brother into going into the Marines during the Korean War.
Right.
So he joined, and he saw action in Korea in the war.
But you were the only one that was captured out of all your brothers, huh?
No, he didn't get captured or nothing. Oh, there's my water there.
I get 4 days over on this shelf.
What if I... The right switch, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, because that one there was killing my eyes now.
That's okay.
No, that was just like that. That's all right.
So, Leo, when we're going to take a drink. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. When those guys give you like say a gold ring, say they give a wedding band, for you to go get them some cigarettes. How many cigarettes would you get for a ring?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Remember?
Like different things. And we used to barter with them.
You were wheeling and dealing, right? You were the guy in camp that...
Yeah, Good Deal Moose, I was known
Good
as.
Deal Moose.
Yep, that was my name, Good Deal Moose. They nicknamed me Moose when I went to Shanghai because they used to give me a nickname. And being I was half Italian, they nicknamed me Moose after Mussolini, who was dictator of Italy at the time. That's how I got the name Moose. And like there on that Wheat Care Crippled Children, there she says, to Moose from the Wheat Care Gang.
Yeah.
What time is it getting to be?
8 o'clock.
You're probably getting tired, Dad.
It's early.
You're sitting.
No, I had to call Eleanor after a while.
In camp, did they let you grow any food or anything like that?
No, nothing. No.
Did any of your fellow prisoners get killed for doing things the Japanese didn't like?
Not really. They get beat up, whipped. But I don't know or can't remember of any being executed in camp. And I can't remember anything like that.
So some of the prisoners would come home and they still ate rice all the time, right? And then, but you wouldn't eat it.
I haven't touched a bowl of rice since I was liberated. I don't have to eat it, so why do it? They're serving it to me every night. I got it again tonight.
But there were some prisoners, like I remember a man named Gabby. Do you remember Gabby?
Oh yeah, Gabby Gabor.
Gabby Gabor, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to eat rice every day still, right?
Yeah. And all of them did. They liked it.
Well, it became an ingrained habit.
Yeah.
I just had it up in my head. I don't have to eat it, so why do it? After living on it for 3.5 years, so.
And so your normal diet was just rice, and you said sometimes they gave you fish heads?
No, we get fish heads and make a soup like, and I can't remember if, once in a while, but they used to send us care packages, see? But the Japs usually kept them for themselves.
Oh, the Red Cross would send them?
Hmm?
The Red Cross would send the care packages?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you never got them.
And we got wind of it. Once in a while, they get a few for the whole camp. So they used to ration around different ones and different things and all that. You know, but they used to do that once in a while. they didn't forget us, but the Japs needed the food too. Yeah.
Quite a story.
Oh yeah, it's.
How did you figure out to get the wall board off? You know, you figured out you hit a bunch of like dynamite there in your book.
Oh, we got a hold of some tools. There's somebody would be working in the workshops repairing different things in the camp, you know, and connive some of the tools. That's what we did. And get those panels out, and somebody else worked where they could get some of the nails and all that, you know, stuff like that.
And said you
Oh,
shortened the
there's a
nails.
way, there's a way. Yeah, to survive.
You'd shorten the nails so that it looked like it was
Oh,
still
yeah.
on there, but yet
Oh,
it was
yeah.
easy to get out.
We used to shorten them and just barely chop them in, just enough to hold the paddles there. They never did catch us on that. I guess we were a little too foxy for them, is what we were. They were kind of, well, we always said they were stupid. They were. Except the big shot officers. Like one was a bull of the woods. There was a big old fat turtle. Bull of the woods, we used to call him. We had names for all these big shot generals and all that.
Was that Ishikawa? What was his name? The colonel? What was the colonel's name? Was it
Ishikawa-san.
Ishikawa-san?
San is Mister.
Yeah.
He's Mister. And Ishikawa was his name, see. I remember some of those things, but they don't speak it, so you forget the Japanese, you know. I used to try to talk to the younger folks, and they say, we don't know it, go talk to our folks. And they don't know how to speak it themselves. If I can stand up with that.
Can I help you?